Okay, I know what you're thinking. This is probably an excessive amount of uploads, but I have to get this down because this was like one of the more profound DMT trips I had. Found a even more efficient way of smoking it. Look at that. But yeah, I swear I'm gonna have to change my channel name because I am no longer like I'm still agnostic towards everything because I just don't know what's really going on. Except DMT did give me a little bit of an idea as to paranormal stuff. I certainly am not a theist, but I would consider myself more of a spiritual person now, and I apologize if I'm a little bit high, but like, holy fuck, like the amount of synchronicity I experienced during this trip, like, okay, so I was listening to We Must Become the Pitiless Censors of Ourselves by John Mouse. It's an album, started from the beginning, but it ended up playing the song Believer instead, which is like the last song, I'm pretty sure, on the album. And look what song it ended on. Isn't that something? But I mean, I remember the messages very, very clearly this time. Like one was just like they're showing me like all the like creatures of mythology, like boom, here's a leprechaun, boom, here's a fairy, boom, here's a transforming something, changeling, whatever, like. And I remember it explained to me that, you know, like, it's because something can happen, it will happen, and that's what the paranormal is. And I was like, whoa, okay. And, I mean, it didn't expand on that aspect very much, but, otherwise, yeah, it just totally shattered. And, like, I've come out of so many trips being like, I believe in something now, but, like, this was far more genuine. Like, I got so in depth with what they were showing me, and like how like mythical manifestations like UFOs, modern equivalent, ghosts, poltergeists, um, back to the will o' the wisp type stuff, to pagan stuff that ended up weirdly being integrated into Christianity, to a degree after they wiped out the Celts. And I'm still very much against religion. No change that. I mean, maybe. I'm gonna try not to be as stubborn. That's one thing it taught me to be, was less stubborn, because I am very stubborn when it comes to certain like fundamental beliefs. And like I told it, like, you really uprooted like a belief that I've held on to for such a long time, being this staunch atheist. But I mean, like, I always say that as like just stressing that I'm an anti-theist. I don't think religion's a good thing, and I'm like, I made videos on that, so I'm not gonna get into it. But I think the only true answer is agnosticism, because we don't really know what's going on. But I mean, the DMT was telling me like that, yeah, these are like just parts of the universe that are like part natural occurrences we don't understand yet because we can't measure, or they are a combination of that and the energy that people are outputting. So it didn't say collective unconscious. It didn't really refer to that, but that's what it seemed to be kind of maybe hinting at a little bit. Is that these are partially projected by our own minds. And I'm still gonna be a very skeptical guy when it comes to spirituality, but I mean, I feel like I need to change my channel name now, because fuck me, I'm kind of a spiritual person now. But I mean, at the same time, I'm just like, what that means is I'm more open to stuff that would otherwise be considered pseudoscientific, or just you can explain away as paranormal, preternatural phenomenon. no. I've always been into that. I've always been open to ideas put forth by like Jacques Vallée and Carl Jung, and far more prone to believing those explanations than any others. For those, just to reiterate, I've gone over this in other videos. Carl Jung thought UFOs were a manifestation of the collective unconscious. This is what I gathered from reading his book, anyways. Mileage may vary. You may have a different interpretation, but what I thought was that he was saying UFOs were a manifestation of a distraction, so the public didn't have to focus on the Cold War and the fact that there was a just nuclear threat looming over their heads constantly. So it was a way of coping, in a way. But that means that like all our minds are connected in this great collective unconscious that is simulating reality, or at least has like a huge influence on reality, or at least partial influence, anyways. But I believe now that like we can open up that influence. I think we can expand that influence in the world around us. How? I don't know. But I mean, that was one of the kind of the not so much the lessons they were talking about, but one conclusion I guess I've come to just sort of right now, thinking about it. But like DMT, wow. It really. And I could end up, eating my own words, being like, because right now I'm fresh out of the experience. It's still buzzing in my head, like I'm still high, I'm still tripping. I'm just, capable of moving and talking and stuff like that, and not seeing, all these fucking crazy amounts of images and just like sprites and just, oh my god. It also, implied to me that there's value in, like appreciating not just supposed paranormal manifestations, but the cultural influence, or not appreciating, but acknowledging and paying attention to those things, and not with a stubbornly skeptical mind, but with, a very balanced perspective of, this could go either way. I'm gonna ultimately make the judgment call here, but, in my heart of hearts, again, I don't truly know what's going on in any case, anywhere, or with anything to do with me, reality, whatever. I'm, as Robert Anton Wilson says a million times over, I gotta restate this again and again, agnostic towards absolutely everything. I have no idea what's truly going on, but they explained to me fairly clearly that, paranormal stuff happens because it can. And because, there's people who have, I'll give you an example, like the entity case on, this is made into a movie, which was very loosely based on the real case, but I can't remember the woman's full name. It was Doris something. She was a single mother, 4 children, and lived in this house, and she was, let's just say, horrifically affected by poltergeists. Like they sexually assaulted her, like multiple poltergeists. It's one of the more interesting ghost stories I've heard. They captured some of it on film. Like they captured her, I think, getting like pulled up and thrown across the room, or like slapped or something, because these ghosts were assholes. They would like beat the shit out of her, and they apparently would drag her into the back room, slam the door, and have their way with her, while their 4 kids could do nothing but listen. So naturally, she became a very hardcore alcoholic just to deal with that, and apparently followed her around the rest of her life. How much of that's true, I don't know, but let's just say it is. What if part of that is, she had a very troubled upbringing, and there are some suggestions that she turned to prostitution and stuff like that. What if part of that was her conscience, in a way, like punishing herself, but going about it in the wrong way, and and it causing this vicious cycle that like literally manifested around her. That's kind of what I'm talking about, but combined with just unexplained phenomenon that is, according to the DMT, natural phenomenon, but we just don't have the metrics to understand it yet. Anyways, yeah, that's the majority of the lessons I got. There's more, but that's really the main one I want to hit home on. I hope you don't mind me like flooding your channel with like a bunch of uploads today, but I just felt like I had to capture this. Because wowee, not so spiritual, synthetic, not so spiritual Shannon is a little more spiritual now. Still, again, agnostic, skeptic, anti-theist, but much more open-minded. And I think it's a good way to be, just as long as you're not gullible. And cynicism, as I've learned from David Foster Wallace, is not always a good thing. Cynicism, I think, can lead to like being deliberately obtuse and ignorant, and essentially casting away potential lessons or making jokes out of them or whatever. And this is coming from me, an inherently cynical person. I think it's just by nature because of my depression, but and also my fascination with pessimism, and being incredibly skeptical my entire life of just about everything that cannot be reasonably explained. Even though I still, prior to this trip, would be like, I still don't know what's really going on. It could be anything. Could be in a simulation. Could be that it's like one god of the or the God that is the interpretation of the Judeo-Christian Islam monotheistic religions is real. I don't know. But this was like the lesson I got here was more of the as above, so below type thing where, tying into anything can happen or will happen because it can happen. And, it's sometimes, I think this is what I was trying to say, like, opposing energies coming together and creating something that's considered mythical or paranormal would be, I guess, the term used today, but otherwise strange and unexplained. So I just had to get that out there. Plus, new method, holy Moses. I made the mistake of putting water in it at first, so I got a mouthful of water and I kind of fucked that up, but I did not need much to fucking get very deep with that. And I got such a big hit that usually I try to hold it as long as I can, or at least 5 long 1 Mississippi 2 Mississippi to 10 seconds, but I was holding it in and after 2 seconds I was like, oh shit, if I hold this in, this is gonna take me way too deep, so just blow it out. Usually I never do that, but it still took me pretty damn deep, I gotta say. Yeah. And then the synchronicities of my belief shattering as my iPhone 5, which I use for music, which I tried to play John Mouse's album with, which starts with Streetlight and then ends with Believer 12 songs later or whatever. It started with Believer and then just kind of without rhyme or reason, almost what do you call it? You don't really do this much with music anymore, but where you'd put on shuffle, shuffle, it's playing random songs from that album, but they all lined up perfectly, like Cop Killer. Great song, but it's not about actually killing cops. It's about killing the neural processes in your head that police your behavior and cause you anxiety, insecurity, so on and so forth. And that was something that I got to meditate on, with the DMT entities. And, I was really thinking about Jack Parsons, his statements about will. If you don't know who that is, look him up. Very, very interesting guy. Very eccentric, but very fascinating and influential guy. He was really into Crowley, and he talked about willpower being like the most important thing, and willpower being something that was curbed primarily by our fears, our insecurities, our overwhelming preoccupation with what other people think about us, and letting our emotions get the best of us. And that stands in the way of our willpower. And so I got to also expand on those ideas too. So yeah, shit, the amount of stuff that can happen in 10 minutes on DMT, really something. Anyways, I'm gonna fuck off because I actually got to be productive now. Bye.